Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Hello, Catholic pilgrims, and welcome to day 238 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today we're going to hear from Christ about a particular scene from the Bible that we don't hear about anywhere else outside of the Bible. Christ talks a lot about his passion and his wounds that he, had inflicted upon him during the hanging upon the cross and the way the soldiers treated him and everything. But today he's going to talk about kind of a forgotten part of the whole scene of his passion. And it's very interesting what he has to say. And then we're also going to hear about why Christ doesn't punish people right away. And I think the answer is fitting for God, hard for us as humans to understand. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in Notebook 3, numbers 1160 through 1166. When once I asked the Lord Jesus how he could tolerate so many sins and crimes and not punish them, the Lord answered me, I have eternity for punishing these, and so I am prolonging the time of mercy for the sake of sinners. But woe to them if they do not recognize this time of my visitation. My daughter, secretary of my mercy, your duty is not only to write about and proclaim my mercy, but also to beg for this grace for them, so that they too may glorify my mercy. Today my soul suffered such agony that I began to complain to the Lord Jesus. Jesus, how can you leave me alone? I cannot take even one step forward by myself. You have taken my confessor away, and you yourself are hiding from me. Surely you know, Jesus, that of myself I know nothing but how to waste your graces. Jesus, you must arrange things so that Father Andres will return. But the anguish persisted. It occurred to me to go to some priest and tell him of my anguish, as well as some various inspirations, that he might resolve them for me, and I shared this idea with Mother Superior Irene. Mother replied, I understand, sister, that you are going through a difficult time, but at present I really do not know of any priest who would be suitable for you. At any rate, Father Andres will be returning soon. So for now, go and tell everything to the Lord Jesus. When I went to talk with the Lord for a while, I heard a voice in my soul. I will not give you the grace to reveal yourself to someone else. And even if you did bare yourself, I will not give that priest the grace needed to understand you. At this time, it is my desire that you put up with yourself patiently. My daughter, it is not my will that you should tell everybody about the gifts I have granted you. I have entrusted you to the care of the friend of my heart, and under his direction your soul will bloom. I have given him light to recognize my life in your soul. My daughter, when I was before Herod, I obtained a grace for you, namely, that you would be able to rise above human scorn and follow faithfully in my footsteps. Be silent when they do not want to acknowledge your truth, because it is then that you speak more eloquently. Know this, my daughter, if you strive for perfection, you will sanctify many souls. And if you do not strive for sanctity, by the same token, many souls will remain imperfect. Know that their perfection will depend on your perfection, and the greater part of the responsibility for these souls will fall on you. Then he said to me, Do not fear, my child, but remain faithful only to my grace. So no pressure there for Sister Faustina at the very end there, where Christ tells her that the greater part of the responsibility for the souls will fall on her, and that others' perfection depends on her perfection. So, a little bit of pressure there, but we know she can rise to the challenge. So a lot is going on here today, and one thing I wanted to touch on was that Sister Faustina is feeling some angst because her normal confessor is away. Now, she's had this relationship with Father Andres for a long time now, and he's away in Rome, if I remember correctly, and she's very anxious for him to get back. She has a lot she wants to tell him, and so today we see that she's thinking about maybe going to another priest and bearing her soul and telling him, what's kind of been going on and giving him a back history. And so first, thankfully, she checks with her Mother Superior, and the Mother Superior is like, no, I think you need to wait. There really isn't a priest around who's suitable for you. And I think that's because Mother Superior understands that Sister Faustina has a lot going on and there's so much to tell. And she's been given very, very special graces that just any priest might not understand if he hasn't been with her through the whole journey. Because just think how long it's taken her to get everybody to understand and everybody to realize that this isn't coming from herself. And so to just go to, a priest and start spilling this all out, Mother Superior realizes this isn't going to be super helpful for you. And she's like, just go talk to Jesus. Father Andres will be back soon. And Christ confirms what Mother Superior said. He's like, I need you to be patient. I have set aside this particular priest for you, and I have entrusted you to the care of the friend of my heart. And under his direction, your soul will bloom, because they have this history. And so he just needs her, and even tells her, I need you to put up with yourself patiently and just calm down. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And then another thing I wanted to touch on was where at the very beginning she asked Christ, how can you tolerate so many sins and crimes and not punish them? We ask this all the time. Lord, why is this person getting away with this crime? Why are they not being punished? They are inflicting such evil that I don't understand why you're allowing them to continue to live upon this earth. Why are you not striking them down with lightning? That would seem very just for what they've done. And we've all asked this question. And Christ gives an answer, and he says, I have eternity for punishing, sins and these people. And so I am prolonging the time of mercy for the sake of sinners. See here, this is the part that we have a hard time understanding. Christ wants everyone with him in heaven. Even the most evil person, he wants to come to him, ask for forgiveness, be repentant, and receive his mercy, because he loves them too. Even if we don't love them or struggle really hard to love them, Christ does love them. And so he is prolonging the time for them so that they can make a choice to turn it around. Because he knows, if I went out and I struck somebody dead, they might not be given that chance to turn it around. Now, they may live their whole life and they may never come to me, and then they're going to be punished. But I'm trying to give them time in order to do that, in order to come to me, to make a free will choice to come to me. And we see again how merciful God is, because he's being patient with people who are seriously evil and are inflicting pain around the world. And that is hard for us to understand, because if it was up to us, that person would be gone and we would just rid the world of an evil person. But you see, once we start ridding the world of people that we deem doing bad things, who's to say somebody isn't going to come and rid the world of you because they think that what you're doing is bad? And so this is why it's so important that we let God be the just judge. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't put people in jail. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't bring justice when we can, but we have to remember that Christ has bigger plans that we just don't understand. The other thing we have to remember is that person will get what is coming to them, whether good or bad, based off of their decisions. And it's kind of satisfying, I guess, for us if we see it with our own eyes in the here and now. We feel like, yes, okay, they're really being punished for what they did wrong. But we don't see what happens when they die. And, we can't be gleeful about thinking about people going to hell. It's a horrible, awful place. And we've seen what Sister Faustina has seen when she's had visions of hell. And we can't be that kind of person to where we want people to go there. So, again, that's hard for us as just human beings, because we live in a fallen world and we struggle to love those who seem kind of unlovable to us. And then, finally, I want to get to the part where Christ talks about going in front of Herod. Now, we've read about this in the Bible. We know that Pontius Pilate sends Christ off to Herod. He's like, oh, let let Herod deal with him. And Christ goes in front of Herod, and Herod is like, trying to talk to Christ, and Herod is kind of a buffoon anyway. And during the whole time that, basically Herod is mocking him and trying to kind of make fun of him, and Christ remains utterly silent. He doesn't say anything. And finally Herod's just like, take him away. I don't want him in front of me anymore. Christ talks about that today. And that's kind of a part that we gloss over when thinking about Christ and his passion and the whole day and the whole scene and all of that. It's a part that nobody ever really talks about, and he brings it up today, and I find it very interesting because of what he says. He says, "My daughter, when I was before Herod, I obtained a grace for you." And what was that grace? That you would be able to rise above human scorn and follow faithfully in my footsteps. Be silent when they do not want to acknowledge your truth. Isn't that amazing? That when he was standing in front of Herod, being utterly silent, the graces he was obtaining for us, so that we might be able to do this same thing, is wow. I mean, to realize that what was being done, the scene that was being played out way back in 33 AD, would obtain graces for Sister Faustina later on down the line in the 1900s. Isn't that incredible? What year are we in? 1937. And he got them for us too. It's not like they're just for Sister Faustina. But during that moment when he was in front of Herod, he was showing us sometimes there's nothing to be said. You just have to be silent when people will not acknowledge your truth that you are speaking. And I'm giving you graces to be able to just stand there and take it. When, people are being scornful and hateful and mocking you, I obtain those graces because I went through it. Me, God, went through all of those things. And because I went through them, I understand what it's like. And I'm showing you this is how you have to act sometimes. Doesn't mean we always have to be silent when people aren't acknowledging our truth, but there are times when to be silent is best. And I really loved that Christ talked about this scene because, like I said, it's one that we don't really ever talk about. So that is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I'll see you back here for day 239. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.